What's up guys, Nathan here, and today I want to give you the advanced river bluffing strategy that has been skyrocketing my winnings lately, and I think it will help you out too. Alright guys, so bluffing in poker is incredibly important, and I've noticed with a lot of my students over the years that this is one of the weaker parts of their game, and from having played millions and millions of hands myself, especially in small and mid-stakes games as a professional, I have also found that a lot of other people struggle in this area, and so today I'm going to walk you step by step through an advanced river bluffing hand. Let's jump into it right now. So first things first guys, with a bluff. As you guys know that are fans of the channel here, I always like to strip back the layers in poker and bring everything back to first principles. So first things first, with a bluff, what do we want a bluff to do? Well, we want them to fold. A bluff by definition means that we have a bad hand. We do not believe we are going to win if we just go to showdown, so that's the entire goal of a bluff. So the next obvious question, of course, is how do we make a successful bluff? Most of the time, we're obviously not going to get our bluffs through every single time. It's just not possible in poker. So what we're talking about here is trying to get a higher frequency of getting our bluffs through, getting them to fold. So three things you need to know about a successful bluff, getting them to fold. Number one is you need to know what they put you on. And we're going to talk about that in detail in just a moment. And then once we know that, we can use the board run out to our advantage, which we're also going to discuss in heavy detail in a moment. And lastly, the final thing, I think this is where a lot of people go wrong with bluffs, is your bluff needs to tell a believable story, guys. That's really where the rubber meets the road with bluffing is, are you telling a story that a good player is going to believe? And we're going to talk about versus good players today as well. So enough talk, let's jump into the hand. You raise up ace queen offsuit in middle position, and a tag tight and aggressive player calls you on the button. Now, as mentioned, a tag is one of these regular opponents. This is one of these thinking players who's watching videos like this, who, you know, perhaps reads poker books, studies poker courses. I'll have recommendations for everything that I suggest in the description below, but bottom line, this is the kind of player who takes the game seriously, is there to win, who is actively watching what you're doing at the poker table and is trying to put you on a hand or a range of hands. So what does the tight and aggressive player put us on at this point? Well, when we raise from EP or MP, that's early position or middle position at the table, most players are going to put us on Broadway cards. Now, what does Broadway cards mean? That means two cards in your hand that are 10 or above. So exactly a hand like we have, ace queen offsuit. They're also going to put us on hands like ace king, ace jack, king queen, king jack. You guys get the idea. Queen jack as well. They're also going to put us on a bunch of pocket pairs like pocket aces, kings, queens, jacks, all the way down to probably pocket sevens. So this is the general range that they're going to put us on. So what does all this mean though? What's the point of going through this? The point, guys, is that we're going to use the flop, turn, and river to our advantage. We're going to make bluffs when the board run out hits this range. So let's jump into it now. The flop comes down with a jack 8 for rainbow. Rainbow meaning three different suits. We don't have anything on this board. I mean, we technically have, I guess, a backdoor straight draw. If it came like a 9 and a 10 or a king and a 10, we would make a straight. But for all intents and purposes here, guys, this is not a good flop for our hand, of course, and that's going to happen 2 out of 3 times in poker. You don't hit the flop. So what should we be doing in a spot like this? Well, I typically will just decide to go ahead versus one player and make a c-bet here. It's a reasonable board, I think, to get some folds on. There is one Broadway card in there with the jack, and it's a little bit of a raggedy board. There's not a whole lot going on. So the tag does call us in this spot here. So what do we put this player's range on at this point? Well, learning how to put your opponent on a correct range of hands is incredibly important at the poker table. In my brand new Elite Poker University 17 plus hours of training, I included multiple videos talking specifically about how to read your opponent's hand in all situations versus all 5 major player types. But let's break it down here. When a tight and aggressive player calls us on the button pre-flop, I expect them to have small pocket pairs, middle pocket pairs, suited connectors, a lot of stuff like this. And so a board like this is actually relatively decent for that range. We expect a lot of hands like, for example, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 7s to hang on, maybe pocket 6s, and a lot of suited connectors have hit this board in some manner. A hand like, for example, 9-8 of hearts would certainly make a call here. Backdoor flush draw plus has middle pair. think you guys get the idea. I think we can get a bunch of hands to fold out here. He's definitely going to call with some hands like a king king, queen, or pocket twos and pocket threes. I think we can definitely get those hands to fold. But when they call us here on the flop, they're typically going to have hit the board in some sort of manner like that, maybe a pair, some sort of, maybe an open-ended straight draw with a 9-10, something like that. They have something. That's basically the point here. So let's move on to the turn in the river now and really get to the heart of the matter here and talk about how to make a big river bluff. So the turn comes down with the 9 of diamonds. So what should we be doing in a spot like this? Well, I think we should be checking most of the time here. This card really does not help us in any way at all. I mean, it technically gives us a gut shot, but given the range that we just put this player on, this card really helps their range more than it does ours. A hand like 9-8 now has 2 pair. A hand like 9-10 has a pair and has us beat now. A hand like pocket 9s is really happy now. A hand like pocket 10s is definitely not folding with an open-ended straight draw. So all of these kind of hands that we had put them on that they're going to call us with on the flop, this card on the turn really just helps them more. It doesn't hit our range. So we do decide to check on the turn, and the tag player checks behind, which is kind of interesting. It kind of gives us an idea that this player probably has something relatively decent, but they're afraid of getting check raised. Maybe a hand like pocket 10s, maybe a hand like ace 8, something like that. So the river comes down with the king of diamonds, and this is really the heart of the matter here, guys, where we're going to make the big river bluff, as the title of this video suggests. Now, why should we be doing that? Number one, as we mentioned off the top, guys, when we raise an EP or MP pre-flop, they're going to put us on a range of hands that include big broadways. What is a king? It is the prototypical big Broadway hand. It's the, oh, we got lucky on the river with his ace king. My pocket 10s is no good now. My 8-7 is no good now. This is what I'm talking about. This is the ultimate scare card to get them to fold one of those hands that is better than ours. Remember, we don't have anything. We have ace queen here. The other thing that I hope you guys noticed is that we have the ace of diamonds in our hand. Remember, we had the ace of diamonds and the queen of spades. So the flush draw, the backdoor flush draw, came through on the river here, and since we have the ace of diamonds in our hand, that blocks this player from having that hand. So we can credibly rep a flush here. Just having the ace of diamonds in our hand makes it much less likely that this player has a flush draw themselves that was on a diamond draw, so we can credibly rep that as well. We can make them think that we hit the diamond draw on the river. And the last icing on the cake, guys, when you want to make a big river bluff in a situation like this, is to use your poker HUD. If you play online poker, check the stat went to showdown percentage. By the way, I'll include links in the description below for the poker HUD that I use in online poker. And it's really important to check this when you're up against regular opponents. Some of them like to call a lot. Some of them are really tight, sort of risk-averse players. You want to be bluffing the risk-averse players. You don't want to be bluffing the calling station. This, of course, is also why we rarely are going to be bluffing a recreational player in this spot, because nearly all recreational players are calling stations. So it's important that you have some sort of read. If you're not using a HUD, then you just use your observational skills. How often does this player go to showdown? If this is the kind of player that you have identified as one of those weaker players who does not like to make the big call, then that's exactly the kind of player that you want to bluff. So guys, making a successful river bluff is all about understanding what range they put us on. Does the board connect with that? It does heavily in this situation here. We can represent multiple different hands, and that's why we're also, number 3, telling a good, believable story that's going to make a thinking opponent like this run through the gears in their mind, and they're going to put the pieces together and say, oh, the guy hit the king on the river. Oh, he hit the flush draw. Oh, he must have hit the straight, maybe with a queen 10 or something. You want to make them think that you're telling the truth. Obviously, we only have ace high here. We don't want to call. And the final piece of the puzzle, as mentioned, make sure this is the kind of player who is capable of making the big fold, who likes to talk themselves into it at the poker table and, pick a better spot. You know those kind of players. Those are the kind of players you want to be bluffing. So guys, try out this river bluffing strategy for yourself at the poker tables and let me know in the comments how it works for you. Also, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. And also like and subscribe if you found this video helpful in any way. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will catch you next time. This has been Nathan Williams with blackcrane79.com.